Hey, everybody. Good morning. It's Sunday, October 13th, 2024. We are here with our weekly tarot and astrology readings for every sign. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm just going to do a little business before we start. The video is, most of my videos are based on whole sign Western astrology. So when I talk about a sign, when I do the readings, I'm referring to the rising sign. If you don't know your rising sign, you're going to want to go to any one of the free birth calculators on the internet. You just need your time and location of birth to determine that information. I, as an intuitive astrologer, absolutely think that the moon sign is immensely important. We are emotional creatures. So I would absolutely look at my moon sign as a key factor into what's playing out for me during this week. We have a full moon in Aries coming up. It is at 24 degrees, which is pretty significant because that means the sun is on the fixed star Spica, and it's on my sun, my solar return. But I did separate videos on that, so check that out. Good morning, Margie. Good morning, Stephen. Good morning, Queen Leo. Good morning, Jules. Good to see everybody. I got to tell you, October is really quite a pivotal month. Mars and Pluto are beginning their opposition. And this is going to get very tense because as they become more aligned in that opposition, meaning the tighter the orb, the more it creates a T-square to other planets. So, Lucy, is your birthday October 17th? 23 degrees Libra? Well, happy birthday to you, my fellow October 17th birthday. Good morning, just call me C. Okay, because I want to offer it this way. Mars is traveling through Cancer right now, and this is the sign of the country of origin. It is the sun sign of the United States. We are getting closer and closer to a presidential election, an unprecedented presidential election. So the reason I bring this up is not to start a political conversation, but rather just sort of to bring up the awareness of the tension and how much people will be passionate about their beliefs. I say this because forewarned is forearmed. Don't poke the bear. If you know that there are people that absolutely, oppose your particular belief system, I think it's best to just sort of go around them. And I want to say this because I believe that the energies of October are going to dribble into November, December, January, etc. So the more aware we are now about how we want to approach this, okay? Because it's not about acquiescing your belief system. It's about how you represent it. That's the best way to put it. So today we have Saturn retrograde at 13 degrees. Saturn is slowing down. Saturn is going to go direct in November, mid-November, but Saturn's only going to retrograde to 12 degrees in Pisces. So basically, Saturn is at a snail's crawl. So all the aspects that Saturn is making to your natal chart are super important because this is where Saturn is looking for a review, a revision, a reconstruction of however that plays out for you. So Saturn, for me, in my 12th house of Pisces, doesn't make any direct aspects, but it will come into an opposition with my Venus. And this is interesting for me because Saturn rules history. Pisces rules the soul's ancestral history. And for me, it's really creating an opposition to ask me if I still believe the things that my teenage self believed. That's the history part. Venus ruling my self-worth as a woman, my beauty, etc. I'm going to be quite a mature woman on Thursday, and according to Google, I will officially be a senior citizen. God bless America. So that has its own mind meld, right? So I'm saying this because as Saturn stations, it's going to really dig its heels in the sky, tasking you to see where you're fearful, where you're repressing yourself, where particular habits don't serve your future, and then tasking you on some level to say, how much do you want what it is you say you want? Because if you do, then it's time to, boots to the ground, knuckle up and do the work. Saturn wants work. Now, also today, we have Mercury, the planet of our mind, the planet of our speech, the planet of our everyday activities, the planet that rules our neighborhoods, our communities, squaring Pluto in Capricorn as it enters Scorpio. And as it enters Scorpio, it comes into that conjunction with the Shapley attractor, which is a very significant point. I recently saw a chart that has the moon at 1 degree Scorpio. The Shapley attractor is at 2 degrees Scorpio. Anything within 5 to 12 degrees in your natal chart, and the tighter the orb, the more intense, more important the energy. But this is a point where you release false attachments. So if your moon is there, we're looking at releasing false emotional attachments. With Mercury getting into this point and moving into Scorpio and squaring Pluto, the natural ruler of Scorpio, it's really releasing any false attachments related to your psychological makeup. So let's say that you grew up and and I'm just saying this as an example, you were a kid who, I see this with boys, right? When boys are going to be super tall as men, sometimes they're just a wee bit chunkier when they're little. And then you get this sort of, you were a fat kid and then you never let go of it. You become this tall, strapping man, but in the back of your head, you still have this little ghost. This is what Mercury square to Pluto could bring up. It could bring up these old things, old ways of thinking, old ways of being labeled as a child. Mercury rules your early childhood. So being aware of that will help you to release anything that is not current. We all have our everyday roller coaster ride, but some things we bring from a long historic place, Saturn, into the future. For instance, money doesn't grow on trees. Money doesn't grow on trees. It grows through your vibration. So I bring this up. Now we have on the 14th, Venus is making an opposition exact with Uranus in Taurus. Venus is in Scorpio. She's in detriment there where she's not necessarily comfortable. She feels quite a bit vulnerable to the power and control of others here. And Uranus is sort of poking at her. Because again, here we see some history going on. Taurus rules your personal history. That Venus rules Taurus. Taurus rules the second house of our money, our self-worth as it was created and nurtured by our family. And so now there's this opposition because Venus is now sort of wanting to, I want to say this. I feel like in some ways she wants to rebel, but she's afraid to rebel. And that's Uranus's tension. The 26th degree is the Venusian Taurus degree. So there's a lot of themes of money and your self-worth and how you perceive and interact with others and the power and control that they have over you as a result of that. Again, Taurus is how we make our money, our own skills, are putting ourselves out there. And Scorpio is sort of how we commingle our money with others. Sometimes that's in the form of clients. We see big banking in the Scorpio energy, but we also see it sometimes in the form of inheritances or, one person in the family is the breadwinner, quote unquote, and the other person feels vulnerable to that dynamic. So that's going to come up. We have the full moon in Aries on the 17th. That happens at 4:26 a.m. Pacific time. And then later in the day, Venus will move into Sagittarius. And I will tell you, she's like, oh, thank you. I much prefer to be in Sagittarius. It's so much more fun. It's diverse. I don't feel so restricted. When you're in a sign that's very powerful, that's very controlling, it's restricting. And no matter how beautiful the gilded cage may be, it still can be a cage. So now when Venus moves into Sagittarius, she's like, Calgon, take me away. I'm ready to go somewhere else. Okay, so that's an important thing to pay attention to, because as Venus moves in November through the Sagittarian energy, she's going to hit some powerful points, especially the great attractor. So be mindful of that. Now, again, I want to emphasize the Pluto Mars opposition, because again, they are going to, as they oppose each other, they are going to, and I defer to the October videos, they're going to make very strong T-squares at the same time to two other points. I think this is really powerful, because I think that passions and tensions are going to grow as we get closer and closer to election day. And I think the world is watching the United States. And so just be mindful of that. You know, again, there's not much we can do. The dynamics are, I mean, again, you know, obviously we can get out and vote for our candidate, but as far as our individual lives go, I just feel like the law of attraction is very important here, because, you know, if we're focused on the nonsense and the out of balance stuff, it can just infuriate us. And unless we have direct control over something or direct influence over something, I think Spirit is offering us an opportunity to turn away from it, meaning not to ignore it if it's distasteful, but to do your best. So with Hurricane Helene, I can't do a dang thing about Hurricane Helene, but I can pray for the people, and I can send a donation to a trusted source, which is what I did. And that's kind of how I'm looking at it. Okay. Well, isn't that a lovely combination to have your sun in Libra in the 9th house? Now let me think. That makes you what does that make your rising sign? I'm so bad sometimes having to think while I'm doing the show, because I'm trying to see the chat, trying to think about what Spirit's saying, and go over the 9th house makes Sagittarius. So that makes you hold on a second. Yes, Milton was also a doozy. Okay. Queen Leo. Okay, so we're talking about inheritances and taxes. You know, when there's never been anybody in my family that's made any significant wealth, except maybe my grandfather was kind of comfortable. But when it came down to it, he was so interesting, because he literally looked at me and he said, Teri, you know, there's not going to be anything for you, because your mom and her sister are such shows, if you get my drift, that he left everything to them because he didn't think they could take care of themselves. So I've never, ever expected anything in my 8th house, interestingly enough, from other people. I still don't expect it. But what I do know is that Spirit will always take care of us when our focus is on the flow and the understanding of flow, because flow is an ebb and, you know, a movement and a slowdown. Yeah, and me neither. And I don't even want to sound that disappointed about it, because, you know, at this point, I'm just glad that I have the grit to make my own money and to be trusting of that. Okay, so I'm using a new deck again today, because I am starting to play with, I think I told you guys, we're trying to broaden the channel. I don't know if you've noticed the new thumbnails. I have this wonderful woman. I have 2 wonderful women in the state of Oregon that I love to bits. One is Small Wildflowers, and the other is my marketing gal, Callie. And she's just started helping me. So we're going to be expanding. We're going to be doing some tarot readings each month. We're going to focus on love and money for you all, in addition to everything else we're doing. And we're going to be launching an Instagram account focused on that stuff. So just want to let you know all that. So I got a new deck. And this one's called the Gilded. It's the Royale version of the Gilded Tarot. So we're going to start. Oh my God, I forgot to get the other cards. Hold on. I only got the tarot cards. Hold on. Sometimes I can be so fabulously flawed. It amazes me. I forgot to get the angel decks. Okay. I haven't seen the Carlton. I also bought this Star Tarot, Stephen. I don't know if you were here. It's a little bit bigger deck and the cards are a little bit drier, so they kind of stick together. This is nice and soft. So we're going to do a little shuffle and then we're going to start with our birthdays. Happy birthday again to all my Libras. Now, this is rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And I really, again, want to encourage you all to look at your moon sign, to think that the human is not emotional and that, the planets are somehow not, the way the moon zips around the zodiac, it nails every one of the planets every month. If that doesn't tell you something about the power of the moon and all the way the moon hits Venus, how will I feel about my love life? The way the moon hits Pluto, how will I feel about power and control? So check your moon signs, guy. And the other thing I want to say, because I listened to a woman's video the other day about a presidential candidate, and she works with other systems, okay? And she was talking about Jupiter and how Jupiter was moving into the first house and how expansive that was. But the first house is Gemini. And when you look at this celebrity's chart, the degree of their rising sign pushes the whole Gemini energy into the 12th house. So I disagreed with a lot of what this woman had to say because I thought it was kind of myopic, kind of just narrow in the focus, because Jupiter can make you overly confident. It can make you fat, honestly. If you have a strong enough Jupiter transit, it can make you entitled. It can make you miss details. It can make your speech so lofty that nobody understands what you're saying. So it's important to look at the planets and then look at the aspects. So if my point to this is this, if you have a late degree, I have a late degree Aries rising, 26 degrees, that pushes most of my first house into the Taurus energy. That is significant. My moon is in Taurus, so that makes me a very Taurian human, in addition to my Mars. So if you have a late degree or even middle to late degree, you're going to see that house structure really change. So check that out because that's important. Good morning, Outer Spice. Good morning. Just call me C. We have our birthday girl, Lucy, in the house. Do we have Lucy Rose in the house too? Did I miss anybody else? Good morning, Small Wildflowers. Good morning, Lighthouse 651. Full moon, by the way, is on the fixed star Spica. So I think this is very important because the fixed star Spica is the voice of angels. It's ruled by Jupiter. It is expansive. It is beneficial. And if we think about the moon as reflecting the light of the sun, then the moon at this moment is reflecting God's light within each one of us. And I think that's an important thing to remember, that we are not humans. We are children. We are lights, Okay, here we go. I'm going to do a little shuffle, McDuffle, and then we're going to start with our Libras. And I'm going to be on point. Or at least I'm going to try. Okay. The tarot card for our Libra babies is the 10 of Wands. Okay, so we see this character. Again, this is the Gilded Tarot, the Royale. There's an interesting factor here because you look around at this particular deck, there's a lot of lushness around him. And yet he's carrying those wands in the most awkward way. He's going the hard way, not the easy way. So let's see where things might be going the hard way versus the easy way. And to me, when I look at that, it's like, oh my gosh, it'd be easier to just make 2 trips than to fumble around and drop all those and blah, blah, blah. So let's see what this guy's doing. Because it could be something that you're viewing, the way you're seeing something. And this full moon for my Libra, rising moon, sun, and stelliums, you could very much have some sort of illumination, some sort of aha moment where you're like, oh, I didn't even think of it that way. Thank goodness that, otherwise I would have worked too hard. First angel for our Libras is Teresa. No need to worry. The second is patience. It's observation. Information is coming through. Azure is saying your desired outcome is going to happen soon, and it's going to happen for sure. And then Rochelle is telling you to honor your heart. You know, I want to offer this to my Libras because the heart sometimes is patient where the mind is not. Like the mind will say, I need to do something. I need to take an action. Did I do enough? Have I done enough? And the heart will be like, you're fine. But humans are not trained to relax. They're trained to continue to work hard even beyond the moment. Kind of like one of those artists who finish a painting and then they just keep touching it and then they touch it one time too many. So something here is about relaxing for Libra. Don't work too hard. The High Priestess, okay, there's an inner knowing. The High Priestess is about discernment, but it's not about the discernment through my eyes. It's the discernment through my moon energy, through my okay, let me try to back this up. There is a feeling for me right now that some of the disruptions we're walking through are opportunities for us to display an evolved version of ourselves. So you have this idea, oh, I've been studying, I've been working on myself, da 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 da. And then an old situation comes in that could trigger you. And now is an opportunity to decipher. And I want to offer it this way because sometimes things might seem more arduous than they are because I'm trying to do something from my head or my brain versus my heart. Yes, that's what Libra. Okay. So right now, there's something, don't overdo it. Whatever you're trying. Okay. This is the other thing. The South Node is going through your first house, Libra rising. That South Node is a point of erosion. It's a point of loss. It's a point of spiritual knowledge through the letting go, quote unquote, of something human, something material, and it's seeing a wisdom through it. I think there's something about working too hard going on here. I think that's really, to me, this is very apparent. There's all this beauty and lushness around this character, and yet he's like not even paying attention to it. So now Teresa's saying it's time to stop worrying. It's time to go into your own heart, your own. I had an incident with my upstairs neighbor because he couldn't be more rude and inconsiderate. And he just decides to construct things and bang on top of my head on Monday morning. This was last week. We got in a big argument because I'm like, why don't you just tell me, And he's just threatening me all over the place. I went into my Aryan mode. I wanted to do all these things. I wanted to say all these cuss words. I didn't do any of that, okay? I told him he was a real peach, and then I walked into my house and I shut up. I had this intuitive knowing, the High Priestess, that I was walking through that because up until now, I've made arguments with other people arduous. And now it's time for me to display a different portion of myself, the evolved version of myself, the part of myself that knows my mind, has a reaction, but doesn't choose to react. It chooses something different. And here is this patience. It's time to observe your own evolution, because you are gaining something through disruptions right now. Something is manifesting for you, Libra, that you can't see. That it's like, I want to offer it this way. As you're beginning your solar return, somehow, well, that's for the Libra sun. But for Libra rising, there's a period of time right now that's going on through the South Node's transit that's allowing you to approach situations differently. And disruptions right now are allowing you to experience yourself in the new vibration, because this ends with love and this ends with following your heart. So you go from overdoing it, over worrying, maybe even over caring for others, because this is an others card, to starting to care about more about yourself. And I want to offer it this way, because when you are on the Libra Aries axis, and here's this full moon in Aries, we are looking at a balancing act between the individual and the cooperative component of being in relation with another human. And we're also looking at how we express our individuality, our passions, our pioneering energies, which usually are an individual endeavor, with how we balance caring for others and allowing others not only their passions, but our passions being allowed within them. So mindfulness of working too hard. The 10s are always going to be an alert of the mind, as well as the end of a cycle. There is a full moon on the voice of angels. Literally the sun is on Spica. So if you hear, this is for everybody, if on this full moon there is an illumination of something that almost makes you feel as if, holy crap, I'm actually blessing God for that nasty thing that happened to me. How could that be? How could that be? And yet, that's exactly where wisdom comes in, guys. That's exactly where the feeling of triumph and feeling your soul comes in. Okay, on to our Scorpios. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Here we go. Now, we said that Mercury is moving into Scorpio, and I have these theories about Mercury and Scorpio, as I am a resident of Mercury and Scorpio. There's a lot of ways that can go, because it can you could have a very sharp tongue. You can also talk to the dead. So that could be an evolution where when you're younger, you're, more sharp-tongued, more fixed in how you think. And then as you age, and you discover more things about the universe, it shifts. So let's see your tarot card. The Hierophant. This is a card that represents beliefs. It represents institutions, religious institutions. It represents the sign of Taurus as well, which is your opposition, your opposite sign. And right now we know that as Mercury approaches that Shapley attractor, there's an opportunity to release false attachments within your mind, your speech, and within how you are absorbing the media. Okay, social platforms, interactions with your siblings, your neighbors. I mean, Mercury is so vast. It literally touches every aspect of our life. So I think the Hierophant is speaking to a potential belief system. And in this deck, which is interesting, you don't see him full-faced. It's not like he's holding court. It's almost like he's going on some kind of spiritual journey. The 5s represent freedom, sometimes freedom through strife. And if the dynamic of Taurus is relevant, then there could be that fixed way of thinking, Scorpio, that stuck to my family story. Taurus rules our family history again, and this Hierophant feels as if I'm walking into a new belief system somehow. All of the white light behind him feels as if I'm seeing the light of God through something. Okay, here we go. Now, Venus is at the end of her transit through your first house, and she's going to move into your second house, and she's going to be very happy when she moves into your second house of money. Now, Sagittarius rules wealth. Jupiter rules wealth, so this is nice. Our first angel for our Scorpios is Shanti, the angel of peace and harmony and tranquility. Then we have Archangel Michael asking you to have courage. Merlina is looking for balance. Merlina is Merlin in the female energy. And then Grace and Antoinette is about compassion. There's so many wonderful hues to each one of the signs, right? And oftentimes with the Scorpio energy, immediately people take a pause because they fear the stinger, right? But I want to offer this to my Scorpios. The other totem for Scorpio is the eagle. The eagle represents the connection to the angelic realm. It's the most majestic of all the messengers, the winged creatures. Something's going on, Scorpio. Ooh, I just got chills everywhere. You're being tasked in a big way to let some of your more human traits transform. I hate the word let go because it's really hard to let go. And if you're a fixed sign, it's almost like forget about it. You got to incorporate it. You got to make wisdom out of it. You got to make understanding out of it, because letting go just isn't going to happen. Maybe if you're a mutable Pisces, you can do that, even a Cancer, but not a Scorpio. No, ain't gonna happen. All right, Shanti and the angel of peace are being joined by the Queen. Then we have Archangel Michael being joined by the stag. We have Merlina being joined by the truth. And then we have Grace and Antoinette being joined by the king. This is interesting. So for my Scorpios, I'm going to say this. The queen here, we could talk about relationships. There's the potential of a relationship here, but I don't think so. I think this is about receptivity. I think this is about the feminine aspect of creation. And then we see Shanti, the angel of peace, is that you can create your own peace by being more receptive. And here, now I love my Scorpios. Please don't get mad at me today, but maybe you're being a little stubborn about something. Maybe there's something that you're right about. Okay. You're absolutely right. But is it working for you? I don't know, because this feels like stubbornness today, and Archangel Michael asking you to be the peacemaker. And I don't know about the pieces, like putting the branch out to somebody else, as much as kind of what I inferred to earlier about the tension between Mars and Pluto, your two ruling planets. And as we get later into the month and even into this week, there could be an illumination for you in your 12th house of Libra. We're talking about the 12th and the 6th house. So there could be an illumination of something work-wise or health-wise that shifts you and helps you shift your belief system, almost like, oh my gosh, I've been doing the same thing over and over again, and now I get to do something different. And I mean it this way, because here is a deeper truth, and Marlena's calling for balance. So the truth, when I pulled that truth card, I heard Scorpio energy say, I don't really care that much. Why am I making such a big deal out of this? Is it habit to do that? Because now I think this is about justice and compassion. And I think that this might even be about being the harbor of tranquility and peace for you this week, and to represent your newfound, or the beliefs you've been working on, the beliefs you've been studying, the beliefs that you hold dearest to the deepest part of yourself. We all have human reactions, that growing tension, and also Venus and Uranus's opposition this week, very much, because again, Venus is in your first house, Uranus is in your 7th house, and that could bring up some stuff. And for some reason, it's not feeling, I know we see the king and the queen here, but it's about receptivity and then taking action with compassion. I don't think it's about a man and a woman right now. And if it has to do with money, or money's owed to you, or something to do with resources attached to your job, I think that, or how you make money, I think that it's really a little bit of a moment to step back and even maybe connect with your guides and your angels so that they can guide your words before you go into any meetings or conversations. Okay, let's go on to our Sagittarius' rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Welcome, 145 Club. Did I say hi to Queen Leo? I hope so. Welcome, everybody. Can you believe we're almost done with 2024? The time feels like it's going so fast. I literally blink and, the year is over. Your MC is on your 10th and 11th house, that on the cusp there. That's the highest point of your chart. It's where your career sector is. And so that's where you're most visible to others as well. So whatever, So are you an Aquarius rising, Queen Leo? Isn't that Scorpio, the 10th house for Aquarius, I think? Anyway, let me go on to my Sagittariuses. Okay, here we go. Sagittarius. Ooh. This is Venus entering your house this week. There's the money, beginning of new money, beginning of making more money. Look at all the lushness. We see bunny rabbits, and we see little weasels in there. But we see the stag standing there holding this Ace of Pentacles, offering new money, material, resources, the energy, even maybe when I look at the stag, I can't help but notice what a large animal it is. And I thought, well, what, you can just move obstacles right out of the way. So there could be the beginning of obstacles that have been keeping you from feeling material flow are going to be moved out of the way. Show me the money. Yes, Sagittarius, absolutely. Let's see where we're going. Now, I want to remind you guys, you have the greatest points in your first house. First, you have the great attractor at 14 degrees of Sagittarius. Then you have the galactic center at 27 degrees. So you have an opportunity to anything within 5 to 10, I believe it's 5 to 10 degrees of the great attractor. And in your natal chart is where you have an opportunity. If it's Mercury, any one of your personal planets. Outers take a little bit of a back seat. They're generational. If you have something within 2 to 3 degrees of the galactic center, you have the ability to go into meditation and download solutions go into meditation, pose a question to spirit, and then be inspired by an idea. So these are very powerful points to take advantage of as Venus moves. So everybody, as Venus moves through Sagittarius, and she gets to those degrees, going into meditation, setting intentions, that's all very powerful. Having your moon on the galactic center would make you very intuitive to information and solutions and big ideas potentially. When they call them downloads sometimes, Jules, that's kind of what the opportunity is there. It's almost like you have a telephone and you can call the universe and ask it a question and it will give you an inspired answer. All right, Sagittarius, our first angel is the angel of peace. Shanti, as it comes up again. Now we have victory in the form of Omega. We have Caressa. The end of a chapter brings new happiness. And then Archangel Raphael is bringing a healing. I like to call them balancing. And often I see that as an epiphany. Oh, yes, 145 Club. That's such a, I really think that's, these are the little pearls within our chart that give us support. The challenge in the human body is to trust the inner knowing that the moon offers. So often you'll say, blah, blah, blah. When I was younger, before I knew I was intuitive, I would say, blah, blah, blah. And they'd be, how do you know? How do you know? Even some of my clients would be like, how do you know, Teri? How do you know? I'm like, I don't know how I know. I just know. And that's what the moon does. You don't know how you know. All right, Sagittarius. Smoother road ahead is being joined by a rebirth. This is lovely. Omega is being joined by the cat. Caressa is being joined by the protection card. And the dragon is joining Archangel Raphael. So this is a new beginning. It's a new beginning of some kind. There's new resources coming in. There is potentially, I would even say, an opportunity to either expand, experiment, or revisit something within your workplace, how you make money, how you sometimes it's a side hustle. Sometimes it's like, I work at a job, but I have a YouTube channel. But somewhere there's more resources coming in. And I want to say this too, because when I look at the weasel, which looks like a weasel to me, and it's standing up, I feel like this is an old something, like if there's someone in your environment that has been disruptive to you or been like a weasel to you, I don't think you should look at that anymore. Turn away, look towards the bunnies, look towards the beauty, because here is a rebirth being offered. And sometimes another person's disruption, while it affects us initially, can also expose something within them, because I think you're getting a new life of some kind. The cat, to me, when I first looked at it with Omega, the victory card, it didn't feel like independence and healthy boundaries. It felt like I'm getting a new start. Something is giving me an opportunity to broaden in some way. Now we have a new chapter, and you're being protected during this new chapter. And the other thing that's interesting is here's the 5, which the 5 is independence. It's something is giving me freedom. The cat is a 9. 18 reduces down to a 9. So there's the end of that chapter, a new life. And then that's reinforced by Caressa saying that new happiness awaits you. And then we see this protection card. It's a 38. So keeping your eye on the prize, keeping where you want to go, meaning I want to experience this, and then taking a calm, cool, collected approach because an idea is coming. There's going to be an inspiration. Welcome, Aloha Flower. It's so good to see you. That's a treat having you here in the room. So for my Sagittarius, rising moon, sun, and stelliums, be peaceful. There's a new beginning ahead. It has to do with bringing in more material resources, more abundance, and it's something that's going to grow over time. It's something potentially that you've already been working on and have not seen any expansion with. And I want to offer this as well because we know that Jupiter is retrograde right now in your 7th house. So you may be revisiting even collaborations and rebirthing some of them with things that are more aligned to you or bring you a sense of peace and tranquility. And when I just one other quick thing, because intuitively I feel like I'm popping off right now. You may find yourself, don't leave my crowd, don't leave my Sagittarius, don't leave me. But you may get on some other social platforms. You may broaden yourself. I don't want you to leave me, but feel free to explore other things because I feel a little shift potentially there. And maybe it's even you creating collaborations on the internet for yourself. Okay. What's going on with 145 Club? I missed it. Let me scroll for a minute. Oh, 145 Club. I want to offer this because I truly believe that we are in historic times similar to, the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, various parts of history within our country. And while it's very challenging right now, it feels very disruptive. Being in communities like this where we're gathered, we put a light around ourselves and we represent something. So please try to stay hopeful and trust that, don't go into the fray. I've been telling people with the Pluto Mars opposition as it grows, it's just growing. It's going to get very tense at the end of the month. So I understand, people are driving crazy, they're acting crazy, they're very reactive, but sometimes you can't get the zit to heal until it festers a bit. And that's kind of where we're at here. We're going through a Pluto return. We'll all be okay in the end. Yeah, we will. And I do think that God and the angels will protect those of us that are keeping our focus on our own abundance and our own acceptance of the roller coaster ride, because we're representing something that would otherwise not be represented. The light. Okay, on to our Capricorns, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. The king of passion, the king of wands, the king of fire. This king is so, it's interesting because in the Rider-Waite deck, we see the king of wands looking out to the future. And here he looks directly into the camera and he's got this swag going on here. He's like, I am a passionate guy. I'm going to have what I want, no matter what cost, because I'm burning down the house. Let's see. And when I look at his sleeves and I see the red and the white, it's like he's the white representing the purity of God and the angels, and the red representing the base chakra. Again, that fire, that energy, that passion, and sometimes the aggression. But it doesn't feel aggressive here. It feels relaxed. It feels as if I know my passions and I'm going to implement them. And now this is what I want to say for my Cap risings, because the Pluto transit you went through, I think, gave you a beautiful rebirth in understanding your own fears, trepidations, and that Plutonian energy. And now you can transform that Plutonian energy into the wealth that it offers. Again, following your heart. That planet has a big old heart on on the face of the surface. You can see it from space. Let's see where we're going with this King of Wands. Our first angel is Archangel Raphael, the angel of healing. Then we have Fiona saying that now that you ask God and the angels for help, be open to receiving. We have Astera and Crystal coming out. Astera says to reach for the stars. We have the Lady of the Lake joining Archangel Raphael. We have the Wasp joining Fiona. We have Astera being joined by the Bee. Very interesting. And then we have the Joy card. Okay. So my Capricorns are leadership all day long. Okay. Let's not forget that. They're ambitious. They have drive. They want to build in the material world. And if you don't see it in the material world with the Capricorn, it doesn't count. It's not, they don't like concepts. They don't like potentials. Capricorn wants to see it here. Now, I really think this guy is sitting here going, don't mess with me. Don't mess with my passions. Don't mess with what I want. Don't mess with what I'm creating to build my wealth. Because here, now we have this Archangel Raphael and the Lady of the Lake. And you've been through the Plutonian storm of understanding your mind versus your heart and the power and control that other people's opinions, because you are a leader, has over you. And now you have an opportunity to feel that epiphany. Sometimes the greatest thing that we can see with people who stand in leadership is that they're flawed. That they have to struggle just as much as the rest of us. Sometimes effortlessness is a misnomer because it indicates that there's no interior struggle. There's been an interior struggle for my Capricorns. And with Pluto transiting the last degrees of your first house and about to move into your second house of money and self-worth and your unique expression and genius, I think it's really time to sort of let go of the stinger. Now that you ask God and the angels for help, be open to receiving. Capricorn can micromanage a little bit because it's like, well, I'm a builder. If I'm not working in the material world, I can't just sit here in these concepts all the time. I can't just sit in my passions. I must make it happen. But I think this is where you're being tasked once again to remember that God is going to give you an inspired action, not just an action to take an action. Because Astera is saying to reach for the stars. I think the stars are giving you the opportunity to feel victory. Because if you slow down just a minute, rather than trying to, again, take action on something, your ruling planet is slowing down in Pisces. And let me just think. I'm so bad on my feet. Like, it makes so much sense to me when I look at it, but on paper. But Pisces, wherever the Pisces energy is, isn't that like your fifth house or something? Hold on. Capricorn, Aquarius. Third house. Okay. Wherever Saturn is, which is in your third house now, there is a real slowing down, revisiting the ideas of the concepts and the way that your mind was shaped as a child. That's what I want to say. And now you have new passions. And Spirit is saying, Capricorn rising, sit firmly and relaxed in those passions, because you will have an opportunity to display them and to feel the joy of them. But part of that is holding back for the inspired action. Crystal says, have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon that you can't see. And then we see the Joy card. So you're still walking through Pluto's last few bits of deconstruction. You are, maybe potentially annoyed because I'd like to have an inspired action. Let's do something. The human doesn't recognize that doing nothing is an act of faith. It's actually doing something. Thank you, Lucy. That's very generous of you. I appreciate you. So I think that this is really good, because what I think it is helping Capricorns traverse the material and the spiritual. And I think if we think about the idea that your ruling planet is walking through a sign that is really about connecting the spiritual with the material. it's about where the soul has been through a whole material experience, and then it goes back to commune with God before it leaves the physical experience. The 12th house, we become invisible. And I say this because here I think you're walking out of this dark place and into something more aligned to the 2.0 version of what you yourself want to experience as you walk through this, and to act as a leader. This time it's a leader who walks because he's inspired by passion, or she's inspired by passion. Okay. Because the Capricorn energy, honestly, when it's all full of duty and other people's agendas, it gets very cranky and rigid over time. But here it feels like the awareness of the balance between two things has given an inspired thought, which allows your passions to be how you represent and are a leader to others. Okay, on to our Aquarius' rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. I want to offer this because when you take no action is action, literally, it is a decision. But sometimes if we can determine if we're taking action, am I doing this because I don't feel faith in what I've done enough? That's really the key question. And Capricorn might sometimes think they haven't done enough. I haven't done enough. I haven't done enough. I haven't done enough. And you have, because the next step is, again, to be illuminated through some sort of inspiration. And I'll bet you this full moon illuminates something. Okay, on to our Aquarius' rising, moon, sun, and stelliums, the Four of Pentacles. Now, in this deck, this doesn't look too challenging, but we do see the prominence in the red. This character is naturally focused on his resources, and he's carrying them in what appears to be a small box, as if he's going to put them in his safe. The Four of Pentacles is naturally a stuck energy. It's where there are resources, but the character is afraid to let go of the resources for fear of something happening. And fear is always an interesting magnet, because the law of attraction will bring that which you fear into your experience so that you can walk through it and conquer it. And yet sometimes we will succumb to the fear and we'll be like, see, I told you that was true. See, I told you that was true. If you look closely at this guy's face, can you see it? He does not look relaxed. He's not enjoying. And I think the turban is interesting because the purple and the green, that's our higher level chakras, our heart chakra, the third eye. And even though he has an awareness of this, it's almost like when you look at him, the turban has an awareness of the higher vibrations, but the dominance of the red robe keeps his coins in the box. So let's see where we're going, Aquarius. Rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Do not fear Pluto's entry into your first house. This can be something that really awakens and unleashes and transforms to something beautiful. And the awareness that the human the human longs for change and then expects change to screw them over. Okay. So, no, we've not gotten to Cancers yet. We go backwards. We start with the birthday month, which was Libra, and we're going to work our way around. Okay, so here we go. For our Aquarius, Indriel, the light worker. Astera, reach for the stars. Isabella, yes, the timing is right. And then Teresa's about, don't worry. Worry is a form of prayer that really screws us over because it puts all our attention and focus into the fear. Okay. Indriel's being joined by Magical Merlin. Astera's being joined by the Spider. Isabella's being joined by the Wind Fairy. And Teresa's being joined by the Love card. For my Aquariuses, I want to offer this. With the Four of Pentacles, the fours represent some bit of stability, right? They represent, a foundation of some kind, a square, as they say. Here, there's alchemy, justice, and balance through you shining your light in some way. I feel like this Four of Pentacles is not just representing money, but representing things you're birthing in the material. Let me finish. Remind me, Lucy, and I'll give you this. There is this to me is to be aware of where you are stuck within the physical plane. Either you're stuck thinking, well, these are the rules, everyone knows when a red light hits, you got to stop, right? That's pretty much in every country. But at the same time, are the red lights really there, or is it just a habit of thought? Because Astera is saying to reach for the stars with your dreams and desires. And when I saw this web, I thought this was the 11th house, because you rule the 11th house, you rule hopes and dreams, you rule the World Wide Web. So somewhere there is something that's coming together. There is something that's coming that is just and will bring something into your material world. But part of this, again, we're looking at some interesting transits, and partially because of the political dynamic, a lot of people are holding their breath. They don't know, what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to wait to see who gets in office before I do something materially. And I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but there is a weird feeling of being stuck, feeling of being pulled out of being stuck. But I need to sit and wait effortlessly for the inspiration. And I say that because, yes, the timing is right to shift the way you're thinking in some way, to reach for the stars for the next move as to where to go next towards your hopes and your dreams, and then not to worry. And we've got this love card. I really believe that in times of struggle and strife, there are those that represent the opposite. It's part of the universal balance. So as Aquarius continues to nurture their genius, continues to allow for the broadening of their ideologies and their philosophies in relation to their future, that you will see that you're being taken care of. And I think this is more of an awareness of, where am I stuck? So, all right, move on. Okay, so when we look at the Placidus house system, whatever sign starts the house is the ruler of the house. So if your first house is Capricorn, and then there is a bit of Aquarius in there, you would look to see if any planets are in there, but you will have Pluto moving into another vibration within your first house, if I'm reading your comment correctly. So you will experience another transformation of self, your genius, your future ideas, and potentially your presence on the internet. This is like one day where you post a video and you had no subscribers, and the next day you go and it's gone viral. Yes, Pluto's transits are very long. So the soul has really called forth an opportunity to shift the self and how you view the self. And if that is true, Lucy, that means part of your Capricorn energy is in the 12th house, right? So first Pluto came in and was sort of deconstructing whatever ancestral invisibility that you have. Then it moved into the material of your first house of self here, and then it's going to further liberate as it moves into the Aquarian energy. I think so too. I think that some of these transits offer a lot of excitement when we harness the higher vibrations of them. Again, this woman I was watching the other day was doing political videos, and she was just raw Jupiter in the first house of Gemini. And I thought to myself, holy cow, this is going to, could potentially, with Jupiter being in detriment, could be a rewrite. It could be justice coming through as a misrepresentation of self because of the arrogance of broadening or telling something that was embellished. You have Mercury in Gemini and Venus in Gemini. Very interesting times. You're going to totally rewrite how you think about how you use your skills. Okay, let me go on to my Pisces, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Okay, don't freak out. You got the devil card, okay? Now, this does not surprise me because we have Saturn transiting through your first house. And when we look at Saturn, we see the Capricorn energy, and the devil represents the Capricorn energy. So this has a lot to do with Saturn's transit in Pisces. Now, this is interesting in this deck because the devil, of course, the devil's always a very handsome character, but here we see the eyes are covered and the pentacle is there. And I really think that this is an intuitive energy. And I'm wondering if there is not, I see these characters dancing and I'm like, I feel like, am I dancing with the devil or for the devil, or is the devil making me dance? Are those hot feet? So let's see where we're going for our Pisces, because I think that's Saturn. I think that I happen to know a Pisces rising who has Mercury in Pisces, has Venus in Pisces. Their sun is nowhere near Pisces. Their rising is not, their rising is Pisces, but, and their Saturn's really repressing things. So when Saturn's on your Mercury, it's repressing the way you think. It's repressing your communications in some way and your ability to communicate journalistically through your platforms. So this could be something is being repressed. Let's look and see. Don't worry. Be happy. Okay. Ariel, new psychic and spiritual experiences are changing the way you view yourself. We have Chantal, the angel of love and romance. We have Isabella saying, yes, the timing is right. And then we have Archangel Gabriel. So the devil is representing your communications to yourself right now. That's self-talk. The fears, the repression, the limitation. That's that Capricorn dynamic. Ariel is being joined by the cat. Chantal is being joined by the hawk. Isabella is being joined by the partnership card. Very interesting. And Archangel Gabriel is being joined by the movement card. For my Pisces, this very much feels as if, you're so sensitive and you're so, like, literally, like, Pisces is so mutable that when they start to care about somebody, they're very vulnerable to the absorption of that situation. And so here, when I look at the devil, I feel like I'm looking at the fears of Pisces. I'm looking at where they have trepidation, where they actually feel invisible. Am I good enough? Am I strong enough? Am I handsome, pretty enough? And here, I think that the cat is really saying that in order to counter those, it's about having a strong connection to spirit. To really, a cat is something that turns away from things that don't love it. I'm sorry, the cat. If you have a cat, an indoor, outdoor cat, or if you have a cat inside and it doesn't like you, it will get out. It will run away. It will find a new owner. Dogs won't do that, yes, necessarily. Dogs will stick around. So here, I feel like to counter the fears that maybe love is lost, love is not here, love is not available, love is not thriving. I need to create a relationship with spirit in order to have a ninth life. Here is Chantal, the angel of romance and love. And then we have the hawk calling forth a rising up of looking at romance, maybe from a different place. Relationships change, they season out. Meaning there's seasons in life. So you season out of the heightened sexual and into a more companionship as we age. Here, yes, the timing is right for the partnership, but I just think that the partnership is with spirit so that you can bring in something that you fear you won't have, something that you love, that you want, that you're afraid of. In the final position, I have the movement card and I have Archangel Gabriel. This is a communications card. It's talking about arts. It's talking about having a voice, okay? And the movement makes me feel as if it's moving away from my fears, or I'm seeing how fears have controlled me in some way. And the more I connect with spirit and the more brave I am to step into that connection, the more I feel aligned to a deeper truth of me. Pisces, I think that this is Saturn's transit. I think the devil is representing slowing things down enough to see where your fears lie, where you have held yourself back, where you've been invisible when you shouldn't be invisible. You're such a creative sign. There's so much beauty in that house. There's so much spirituality and compassion. And I feel like this is Archangel Gabriel is encouraging you to let your light shine. That's the movement card. And then your fears become a tool of empowerment, because as you walked through them, you recognize that this is the part of the roller coaster ride of this little place we call Earth. Okay. Lucy, oh my goodness, you're in Tampa. I didn't realize that. So you've been hunkering down with Milton. Are you guys okay? You're at urgent care. Are you at urgent care because you hurt yourself? Or are you at urgent care for somebody else? Well, we'll just say prayers for you. My goodness. I hate to knock on wood when I say it, but the good news about California is you really don't know. An earthquake comes, it comes. There's no ramping up of the fear. It all just, well, we'll say prayers for everybody. The North Node, it would make your South Node in Virgo, which is really, the South Node in Virgo is where you've been of duty and service to others. And in some respects, that stretching to the North Node lighthouse is to find your creativity, to give it the same importance and potency that you would anything practical from the Virgo energy. The North Node is what we're stretching to experience. And my North Node happens to be in Libra at 3 degrees. And for so long, every astrologer in the world would say, oh, you're stretching to be in a relationship. And I'm not in relationships very much at all with other, with a man, like a marriage, never had one. But what I realize is I'm a naturally angry, resentful Aryan energy. And my stubborn Taurus moon holds me back. So I see my North Node as stretching for peace and harmony, and to understand the ebb and the flow of the humans instead of always being disappointed by their frailties and their flaws. So I don't really see it. I see it as a house of cooperation. So let's open up that Piscean energy and see if it couldn't be stretching to see the divinity in your creativity, in your unknowingness, in your ability to trust an inner knowing versus an outer reality. Okay, on to our Aries. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. The Page of Swords, new thoughts, new ideas. And this, it's interesting to me because this character looks a little bit aggressive. He has these 2 bluebirds, so I think he's got to be careful with his tongue. I think this might indicate the potential for a sharp tongue this week. The bluebirds are very interesting to me because they sit sort of in a way that make me feel like if he lifts this sword to be aggressive, the birds obviously will fly off. And what are birds? Messengers. What are blue? The throat chakra. There's everything about this card reads about, like when I look at his leggings with the purple stripe around them, it's like, use your words from your divinity. I even noticed that there's a duality to this character. There's a light shining through one of the tops of the pillars and not the other. So this kid is still learning how to use his words, how to, this could very much be Mercury in Scorpio, to be honest with you, where you start off sort of harsh and tough, and then you learn how to be more diplomatic and less judgmental sounding. Let's see where we're going with this Aries, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Thank you so much, Lucy. Now I have to, Lucy Rose has been our only really Lucy, so you're our new Lucy. Okay, here we go. Aries, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Ariel, our angels, our psychic connection. Seraphina is a happy change to family. Isaiah is a new beginning in gestation. And then Archangel Uriel, all about anger and frustration. So here your ruling planet is in Cancer, where it's not so happy, because two things this can mean. Number one, you're having to slow down and be aware of everybody else's emotional body, and you might be over it. But I think more than anything, this could be about a new beginning in how you use your sword. Let's see. Ariel and the movement card. So there's a movement towards a connection, a tighter connection, and seeing the correlation between outer events and the spirituality within them. Seraphina, the happy change to my family. There's a risk card attached to that. That's interesting. Isaiah is a new beginning. Isaiah is being joined by the love card, and then Archangel Uriel is being joined by the death card. Okay, so this is really interesting for me because I have had a year, literally last year on my birthday, October 17th, my landlords just verbally assaulted me. They lied, they broke stuff of mine. They were just total banditos, okay, bad guys. And I said to them, I'm going to escalate this. And, for the first time in my life, I didn't use my words. I didn't scream. I didn't yell. I didn't tell them who I was and what I was going to do. I was like, actions speak louder than words. And it's been about a year, and we should be finding out through the things that I did, because I went through agency. And every step of the agency, meaning other people were investigating them, I had to keep my damn mouth shut. Okay. I had to act neutral, not good for me, not normal for me, because this is where I'm going. I think for my Aries, you somehow have mastered an awareness of your anger, your resentment, your words, your harshness. I said to Aries, when Aries spent 7 months in Gemini in 2022 and 2023, you were really learning how your words affect your life. Like, it's not just about telling somebody to fuck off because you want to, because it doesn't serve you to do that. Okay. It's really more about you. So now what I'm seeing here is that because of my growth, because of my awareness, my spiritual dynamics, I'm feeling movement. I'm rather be happy than I would argue with other people. I don't have the time anymore. I'm too old. I'm too tired. Even if I'm only 10 years old, I'm too old. I'm too tired. Here, the love card, the beginning of like, this is about me now. I want to do things that give me peace of mind. Now here's the transformation of your anger. It is hard for me to keep my mouth shut, but now I've looked at it as a weapon. I'm not telling you what I'm doing. I'm going to freaking sneak up on you, bang you upside the head. You ain't going to know it. That's how I'm going at this. So I think this is the other thing about this full moon, because I think this full moon is going to bring a culmination of this thing that's been going on in the background in my life, hanging around, haunting me because it's not settled. So I think of the same thing. And I think for my Aries, you are going to start to really choose your battles. When we think of the Page of Swords, he's young, he's virile, he's got lots of puppy energy, really, really busy. So when we think about what does Aries rule? Competition, moving the body, wanting to take that body and to compete with it, war with it. And part of that is using the words. What do guys do on football? Ooh, 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 ooh. So I think that this is about an awareness of your sharp edges, an awareness of your harshness, an awareness of the need for cooperation while still being authentic to yourself, and learning how to use your words as intentional tools versus weapons. I want to offer this because, I've heard that word a lot lately. And I said to Spirit, why do we always feel tested? And Spirit literally said in my ear, they're not tests, they're opportunities to display your evolution and all the concepts you want. So you can't know You can't feel the rootedness of your intentions without walking through a situation that's that fork in the road. What choice will I make? And this is literally where we're sitting as humanity. And with Pluto going into Aquarius, you better get on into the future or you're going to get left behind. All right, Taurus, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Don't freak out. Three of Swords, not an easy card. Three of Swords is a heartbreak. Three of Swords is a betrayal of some kind. The Three of Swords wakes me up. It wakes me up and it makes me look at my relationships. Makes me, sometimes with the Taurus energy, that sense of familiarity will keep you somewhere. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's good for you because Taurus doesn't like change. It likes familiarity. So let's see what this Three of Swords is focusing in on. Because when I see the swords here, they're all plunged into the heart. You don't actually see the blade, but there's a strong focus on the jewels that are being offered here. See the sapphires that are being offered? There's 2 in each one. So the six jewels indicates a new beginning of some kind, that there'll be an illumination of this. I know, Lucy, we're going to have to party like it's our birthday. All right. Our first angel for our Tauruses is protection in the form of Xana. Archangel Uriel is helping you deal with emotions that are related to the Three of Swords. Seraphina is offering a happy change to your family, and Uriel is offering new spiritual experiences. So we have an opposition between Venus and Uranus this week. Uranus is going through your first house. Venus is in your 7th house. Right now there's really, it really somehow feels like, I hate to say it like this, but from a human perspective, it does feel a little like there's a war between good and evil, light and dark. And here I'm feeling it for my Tauruses. Xana is being joined by the Serpent. Archangel Uriel is being joined by the Protection card. Seraphina is being joined by the Wealth card, and Ariel is being joined by Merlin. Okay. So I want to say this for my Tauruses. There could be something that comes up in that opposition between Uranus and Venus this week. And the full moon, okay, that brings up something that, makes you feel as if you've been betrayed. Now, betrayal doesn't always have to be my husband or wife cheated on me. It can be like, you didn't tell me that. Why didn't you tell me that? If I would have known that, I would have done this. It could be a piece of information because I see those swords. And for some reason with those jewels and the blue, it feels like a communication that was missed somewhere. Now, here's Xana offering protection. And here's knowledge, okay? Literally in the form of that snake. It says knowledge on the card. This makes me feel like somehow, Taurus, somebody didn't tell you something. There's a vital piece of information missing. And here's the protection from anger and resentment. And it's a 38. I want to offer this because whatever comes up for you is actually for your benefit. So it's a divine disruption of some kind. Because here, this is actually choosing expansion. When I saw that wealth card, I saw Jupiter. I saw Jupiter going through Gemini in your 2nd house. I saw my family history. I saw, oh my God, am I going to do this again? Or am I not going to do this again? Because now there's alchemy, justice, and balance, and there's the connection to spirit. Very interesting about there's an interesting feel. Okay, so for my Taurus moon, I'm just going to address you a little bit more succinctly. The Taurus moon energy is so loyal and so tried and true. And it takes a long time for the Taurus moon to feel safe and comfortable in a relationship. So if you to find out that somebody didn't tell you something because they thought, well, I didn't want to piss you off, or I didn't want to do blah, blah, blah. You know what? There's a little part of you that might be able to own that people can perceive that. Like, I don't know why, because I feel like I'm looking at, as a Taurus, I'm looking at part of me as a spiritual being and part of me as a human being. And most of the people I interact with are actually human beings, not aware of their spirituality. So within that awareness, I can find balance and I can be more relaxed about somebody who should have told me something that they didn't tell me, but was important for me to know. That's how it's coming across to me. Okay. Onward and upward. That Three of Swords is not an easy card. It truly is not an easy card. But in almost every deck, it's never a bleeding heart. It's never been, ripped to shreds. There's always a strong piercing. It's a clean slice. And almost within that slice is where we see the illumination come. So if for some reason we are with somebody and we feel betrayed because they don't trust us enough to give us information, then that also could be sort of an awareness that I want somebody who trusts me with information, that knows that I can hear hard stuff and handle it well, or process it constructively. Okay, on to our Geminis, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Your tarot card today is the Ace of Cups. Ooh la la, it's so wonderful. It's a love. The love comes, overflows everywhere. I don't know where that accent came from. And it's interesting when I look at this eye, it's clearly to me a feminine eye. I don't know why, but it just looks, and I feel like I'm aware of the phases of the moon here. I feel like I'm aware of the fish are interesting because they're koi fish. Oh no, they're goldfish. Some are koi and some are gold, actually. This feels very much like the cup of love. Something is being offered, and now it's my job to keep my eye on the prize, Gemini, instead of the duality of it. Let's look and see. Because the cups, while we think of love, the overflowing of emotion is happening here. And sometimes love is not as great as feeling the overflow of being under the hand of God, or feeling as if when I think of the water element, I think of more than things are flowing, things are coming, things are going, being aware of the nature of the ebb and the flow, being aware that stagnant water creates disease. So here, there's something here that feels like a gift of the awareness of flow, versus just sort of looking at it as just, intimate love. All right, our first angel for Gemini is Bridget, looking deeper. Then we have Indriel, the light worker. We have Maya, the angel of schooling and education, and Grace and Antoinette, the angels of compassion and seeing things from another person's perspective. Bridget is being joined by the creative and optimistic fire fairy, also very passionate. We see Indriel being joined by the serpent here. We see Maya being joined by the high priestess. And we see Grace and Antoinette being joined by the letting go card. Okay, again, I want to offer this, we have some very tense aspects going on. Jupiter is about my belief system. Jupiter is about my expansion. Jupiter is about sometimes my entitlement. Sometimes it's like, don't you know how much I've created expansion for this dynamic? Because I want to offer it this way. When I look at this spread, this feels like an emotional spread for Gemini. It feels as if I get to differentiate between the goldfish and the koi fish. I can't tell you the difference between the two, except the size of them. You know, they both look the same. Maybe something's growing. I don't know. But to allow for the phases, to allow for the emotional, it's like I almost feel like Gemini. I'm looking in spirit is saying, watch your own emotional body as you're going. Are you trying to get goldfish when you really want a koi fish? Meaning you want something bigger and more exotic and you're settling for something small? Because Bridget's asking you to look deeper into your optimism about what you want and your emotional body. Now, what happens is your brain, ruled by Mercury, is going into Scorpio today. No, tomorrow. No, today. And as it enters Scorpio, regardless, you could start thinking people have power and control over me in a way I don't like. Because here, this is interesting, this knowledge and healing and the Indriel, the light worker, I feel like I have an epiphany. I have an emotional epiphany. And the epiphany might be that I'm literally coming from, when I look at this high priestess, now I'm seeing her with the moons. I'm seeing the energy of the moons. I'm feeling the moons of this card. And I'm starting to think I'm getting an education on my deeper needs. I'm getting an awareness of my deeper emotional needs. You know, the Gemini energy, because it's ruled by Mercury, still has the flavor of Virgo in it, okay? You're still going to see this wanting to process things and wanting to, you know, if we think about the Mercury energy, if there aren't people to give information to, Mercury has nothing to do. If there aren't people to teach, if there isn't a neighborhood to drive through, something is going on here where you are having an awareness of something that's hitting you emotionally, but it feels like it's going through my brain into my emotional body. And now my recognition of it is where the magic comes, because I'm getting some sort of intuitive education. Some knowledge is coming through that I'm not just a Gemini who thinks, but I'm a Gemini who feels, a Gemini who requires the flow and the nurturing of my emotional body. Because here is Grace and Antoinette, and then here is this letting go card. The letting go card for me is always that song from Frozen. It's funny how some distance makes everything look small, and the fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all. So this feels like there's an opportunity to be more optimistic, to understand the ebb and the flow. If we look at the goldfish, they're under the water, but the koi fish are kind of popping in and out of the water. So something could be coming to you. You can't see it yet. And part of your job is to sit in the intention of the reception of it and to have a bit of compassion as you recognize that you're a cerebral character. And as such, you're going to look first to your brain and then to your heart. Oh, that's funny. Okay, on to our Cancers, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. I also want to say this as I'm just thinking about Gemini, because there could be the idea of business and commerce, you know, the idea of influencing, branding, writing, publishing, marketing, all come under Jupiter's reign. Now we go in retrograde, and you could potentially be thinking of how to subsidize yourself emotionally as well as monetarily, because, you know, I think that money manifests through our emotional body, by expanding your business ideas or your influencing on the internet. Everything's the internet these days. Okay, on to, as I said, our Cancers. 7 of Wands. Now, this is an interesting energy because it's both in this particular deck. None of the wands appear to be held by anything, which is interesting. So there is potentially, I'm defending myself, but I don't know what I'm defending myself to. I don't know why. I don't know what it's about. Now, the wands in and of themselves represent the spark of passion, the spark of creativity, fire. Let's see where we're going here. Because the 7 of Wands in the Rider-Waite deck, the guy is like, you know, he's bracing and he's got his feet spread, one near the water, the other on the earth. So there is a sense of balance. Uriel's angel of fire. Yes, But in this deck, it represents the fire of anger and the fire of resentment and the fire of unforgiveness, and how Archangel Uriel works subtly to balance those energies. So here we have joining the Seven of Wands, we have Bridget. We have Sonia. Bridget's about looking deeper. Sonia is about our connection to our loved ones on the other side. Desiree is about conditions, and then victory coming in the form of Omega. It's funny because when I look at this particular deck, I feel like these wands feel like they're like Harry Potter to me. They feel like they're being commanded by this guy. Do you see anybody attached to any of them? They're floating in the air. I feel like this is about commanding my passions, commanding my fire, commanding my thoughts. And when I think about the sevens, the seven by nature is an intellectual. I'm looking at things from a more intellectual way. When I look at if we look at the 2, 3, 4 represents cardinal, 4, 5, 6 represents fixed, 7, 8, 9 represent mutable air. So we're looking at a Geminian mutable air. Is that Virgo? No, mutable air, Gemini. So this is about diversity of thought. I know we're on Cancer, but I almost feel like there's something going on here. Bridget is being joined by the letting go card. Sonia is being joined by the serpent. Desiree is being joined by the stag. And victory is being joined by the raven. Okay, for my Cancers, I know that you've experienced the opposition of Pluto. Never easy, because that means something outside of yourself is creating a destruction, a rebirth of some kind, but it is also digging deep into how you're psychologically processing that. So here you can either defend yourself or you can find the magic of your inspiration. Now, the inspiration for me is always a timing issue. Bridget is saying to look deeper into a situation, and that are your fears. I know as Teri Hunter that when I worry about something, it literally stops it from manifesting. I understand surrender to the timing of things, and that's when I go deepest into my meditations. I go deepest into my knowledge of what I know about the universe. I go deepest and I ask Spirit to give me signs and omens, as well as relief from worry. Because Sonia is representing your team, and here is knowledge. So Cancer, this is an opportunity to stop defending your position of either lack, worry, whatever this is, and allow rather to stand in leadership of your ideas, your passions, and the timing of it. Because Desiree is saying that the conditions aren't favorable, and there's a sense of being stuck through this stag. He's bellowing here. He's in pride. Now I'm seeing victory, and it's been a timing issue. It's been a timing issue. So victory comes in the form of allowing yourself to say, okay, if it hasn't happened now, then there must be something better. There must be something bigger. There must be something broader that's happening. If we think about Jupiter going through Cancer is your first house, Jupiter's going through your 12th house, then it's offering you an expansion of your connection to the divine. And through that connection, rather than feeling invisible, it gives you the magic of invisibility to move things that can't be seen. There's absolutely victory coming, and your worry about it, which is indicated in the first 3, is not serving you. So victory, victory, victory. Keep your eye on the prize and ask Spirit to transform your fear into triumph. Okay. On to our Leos, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. For those of you that are in the room but not in the chat, I want to welcome you as well. I don't want you to feel not recognized. We like everyone to feel seen here. I have a very fiery side as well, and it has been interesting to try to find constructive release. And I have to say, the guy that invented the rage room was a good guy or girl. I've never been to one, but it does seem like every once in a while a good idea. All right, Leos. Leo, we have the 6 of Swords. This is moving from sorrow into smoother waters. There's a sense of travel attached to this, and we see that this character Now, this character is bathed in a blue robe. The swords are always going to represent air, our mind, the way we think. The swan is representing, it's a wooden swan. So now this is bringing to me transformation into the material, into something solid. And now part of my willingness is to focus on my journey ahead. See how the head is, the moon is in the background. I feel like that moon is here also, is compelling me emotionally to move towards a reconciliation, or to move towards the transformation. There's an interesting dynamic as well when I look at this card, because some of the foliage feels a little dry, but it also, there's some that feels very lush. And so I feel like this is part of the journey, is to look above what is dry and move towards what feels lush. So Leo, we know that you are experiencing the last little bits of the deconstruction of your 6th house, which is Capricorn. And that, to me, potentially could lead you into either health, work, or dynamics of being of service that are more aligned to a win-win, where you too are enjoying your self-expression. If Leo isn't enjoying themselves at what they're doing, it's a crime. It's truly a crime. Okay. Our first angel is Layla. That's connection with spirit about your desires. Francesca is identifying where you're focused on worry and the it's not going to happen. We have Crystal offering something on the horizon, and Ray is saying connect with spirit. Layla is being joined by your fire fairy. Francesca is being joined by Merlin. Crystal's being joined by the hawk. And Ray's being joined by the horse. I really have come to understand timing in a way I never have before. Like, I used to be quite an impatient person. I want it now. And what I've realized often is that some of the sweetest things in my life have come not only semi-unexpectedly, but also when I wasn't so focused on the lack thereof it. Because if you are pushing so hard to move into a calmer place, into a place that feels more smooth, a lot of it has to do with your focus of what you're thinking and what you're talking about. Because now Spirit's saying, talk about what you want to experience. Oh, this is one of the things I'm like, I have a strong awareness of the things where I feel, like with Lucky. Okay. That dog brings so much joy to me, and he's getting better as I get older. And what I've noticed is I have moved away from fearing the death of him, because I spent 10 years thinking he was going to die on me any day. And now I'm like surrendered to everything dies. I'm going to enjoy today. And he wakes up happier. He wags his tail more. He eats his breakfast effortlessly. He listens to me more. There's something about Leo moving away from sorrow and focusing in on that which is working, or that which you want, that which brings joy, excitement, a sense of passion into your life. Merlin is offering justice, alchemy, and balance, but you got to stop looking at what hasn't happened. Yeah, the negative of Francesca is like, well, this didn't happen, and now this is the challenge of the fixed signs, because they have more challenges moving in a new direction. So Spirit's saying, you can't see what's coming. I got surprises for you, Leo. I got some good shit coming your way. Time to rise above what's happening now. We've got an 11 here representing your thoughts. We've got the 1 of Merlin representing your thoughts. We've got this 6 of Swords here offering a new beginning with your thoughts. Now, this is about moving in a new direction. This Jupiter energy of the horse, to me, okay, is very much about sort of like, okay, I've tried it this way. I'm not happy about this. I'm not happy about that. Now I want to move towards this. It makes me happy. This makes me feel joyful. There's absolutely a moving from something distasteful into something more tasteful. And if for some reason, because this 6th house is your work environment, Capricorn, I'm focusing in on that Pluto energy because it's the last we've got about another month or so of Pluto in that energy, and it's breaking something up. And when Pluto moves into your seventh house, you could find so much better revision of the collaborations, or feel a sense of peace about the things that you're birthing. Now, if we think about your seventh house, and if you're a Leo, you could potentially be working in future technologies or working in aviation, or because this very much feels like it has something to do with your work experience for me. I'm not necessarily going to your love life right now. I'm not necessarily going to something in the material. This is a transit of some kind. This is a shifting from what has been, that was in lack, and moving towards something that's more expansive and offering you opportunity for, oh my goodness, I just saw your 11th house is Gemini. So Gemini, Jupiter moving through that 11th house, which is naturally the seventh. Your seventh house is Aquarius, Leo. When I go to Leo, Cancer's your 12th house, Gemini's your 11th house. Something expansive is potentially, there's a review, a revisit that will allow you to move into a new direction, or move away from a challenge into something smoother. And this is going to really be fostered and nurtured by that connection to your inner being, your inner voice, the inner part of you. I just focused in on Queen Leo saying she dances every day. That's the greatest meditation, is to dance. Believe it or not, with the human being a moving apparatus to try to sit and quiet the mind, no, to dance and to celebrate. So I want to offer it this way, because again, I'm just going to wrap this up. There's something that's happening outside of yourself. There's something that through a deconstruction in your sixth house will bring in new sense of feeling aligned, and a bigger sense of feeling like you're on track towards your hopes, your dreams, and whatever it is that you are creating, because it feels very much like a creator's energy. Okay. Our final sign, Virgo, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. And then we'll be done for today. And the next time you see me, I will be officially something. Okay. I am a movement person. I think dance is my best expression, I don't know. And sometimes I even feel like I was a dancer in a past life. I don't know why, but I think I've had lots of past lives. Okay. I could have been an Indian woman, Native American Indian woman, and in charge of ceremonial dance. I would not be surprised. Virgo, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. We end this day with you, and you have the beautiful, beautiful Strength card. This is a card of compassion. This is a card of gentility. It's a card that requires fortitude. It requires a sense. It requires a sense of self and being able to see what it is you want, that gives you what they call it, the carrot. Being able to see the carrot so that you move forward. It's a Leo energy as well, as represented by the lion. Now, in this particular deck, they look like they work together. While she does have this chain, you can see it's very loose. Both the lion and the female are looking to the future, and there's a sense of confidence and courage. Now, let's see, because Saturn's opposition to your first house could very much be presenting challenges depending upon what's in that seventh house, meaning what planets are there. Our first angel for our Virgos is Astera. Reach for the stars with your dreams and desires and don't compromise. Rochelle is about the heart and trusting it. Teresa is about letting go of worry. And Shanti is offering a more peaceful road ahead. So the challenge of our Mercurial-ruled Virgos is that they are perfectionists, and they can crawl up their own grill. I haven't worked hard enough. I haven't done enough. I haven't blah, blah, blah enough. And this Strength card is about fortitude, not about action. Fortitude for me is being able to emotionally connect to the journey ahead, and then take on the emotional dynamic of it, the spiritual dynamic, the physical dynamic of exercising that fortitude. Here it's Astera reaching for the stars instead of succumbing to fear, because that could very easily be done. Saturn is a fear ruling planet opposing you. Pluto, the Lady of the Lake is being joined by Rochelle. So here we see the war between your head and your heart. But this is realistic. This is practical. This is what has to happen in order for me to be safe. But the universe knows that emotionally aligned to your prosperity, to your security, to your flow is how to ensure it. We have Teresa, the angel of worry, being countered by the abundance card. Here, abundance, asking and receiving. And then finally, Shanti is being joined by the stag. And I think that this is really an opportunity to sit. We look at fear. We look at fear. We look at angels giving us an opportunity to say, whoa, whoa, whoa. No, go to God and the angels. This is what I want. And now I have to stand in leadership for my peace and my harmony, meaning trusting a process. I want to offer it this way because, again, I did the full moon video, so you can check out the full moon video. But I think that this full moon has an opportunity to illuminate for my Virgos so Aries is your 8th house. Libra is your 2nd house. This has a lot to do with money. It has to do with power and control. There's an opportunity for the voice of the angels to give you an epiphany, an inspiration, a thought that actually starts to transform your fears. And the Strength card is asking you to continue on, to be gentle with yourself as you tame the beast within, because it's never easy in this human apparatus. Other people will tell you, you're crazy. But we know that worry blocks abundance. Worry puts my attention and my law of attraction in the wrong direction. So now, instead of being stubborn about my lack, I'm going to be stubborn about my tranquility. I'm going to say, Spirit will provide whatever I need. Now, for my Virgos, Pisces is your 7th house, and you could find that part of this is other people telling you to be realistic about something, or other people telling you that you're too green, you lack either time, skill, because again, I'm going to that fortitude and strength idea. It's a process. It's a sort of a pushing up against a headwind a bit. So now what I'm saying is that as you trust your inner knowing, and then you sit in that inner knowing to the point where you feel tranquil and you feel secure, you will start to feel the benefit of the beauty of the axis of Virgo and Pisces, because it's really learning the Virgo how to put into process the Pisces energy of trusting spirit and building a strong foundation. I also want to offer this. If for some reason as a Virgo, you have experienced any sort of dissipation, or a limitation Saturn's put into your 7th house, it could be because it's looking for you to create sustainable relationships, not based on being too much of service to the other party. Meaning, you're the employer and you pay them even though they don't do their job, or because they got a sad story. Okay, that's just a little example. Oh, wouldn't that be fun for us all to we should all get together and have a barbecue. We should all get together and break bread, meet somewhere, and maybe go on a ghost hunt. We should all meet in Savannah or something. That would be fun. But anyway, we'll have to talk about that after the election, and we'll see what happens to this country we live in, and what kind of, maybe it might be 2 countries. Who knows? I'd love to come to Oregon, to be honest with you. I'd love to come up to see small wildflowers in Oregon and meet up there. Go find ourselves a little piece of land and have ourselves a little breaking of bread and all that. Okay, well, we'll talk about that another day. Let's get through these transits, and maybe when Jupiter moves into Cancer next summer, we can plan something fun. I think I could take a train up there, fly up there, maybe get a friend to drive me home. Who knows? But anyway, all right, you guys, that's it. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you for all the new people in the room. It's so wonderful to feel your energy and to have you join us. This is a tribe of support and love. Here we are, team us, and we're going to continue to be. So I will be back next Sunday at 11 a.m. Please like, please subscribe, please share. And check out all the other videos that I've been doing, guys. And be on the lookout for November, because I'm going to be doing 2 different kind of monthlies. One's going to be a tarot, and the other is going to be our normal going through the transits. All right, everybody. Love you so much. Peace out.